All right, so we're continuing in Exodus chapter 3. I keep wanting to say Genesis. And I love this because this talks about God describing himself as I am who I am. And then the end of the chapter really spoke to me about the Israelites plundering Egypt and asking for their gold and silver. So verse 7, then the Lord said, I have observed the misery of my people in Egypt and have heard them crying out because of their oppressors, and I know about their suffering. I have come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians, and to bring them from the land to a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the territory of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. The Israelites' cry for help has come to me, and I have also seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. Therefore go, I am sending you to Pharaoh, so that you may lead my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. Wow, what an amazing paragraph, because you need to think about this as you. God sees the people around you hurting. They're not oppressed by Egypt, they're oppressed by sin and the lies of the world, right? And he wants to take them to a place flowing with milk and honey, which is a place mentally and spiritually where they're born again. The Spirit of God is in them, and the Spirit of God, because Jesus said, the words I speak to you are spirit in their life. He wants them to have a mind of peace and joy. And so God is sending you, right? God wants you to help the people around you experience freedom from sin, enjoy the peace and joy that flows from Jesus Christ. So understand that you've been called to set people free, just like Moses has. And you do it in your different way, right? Even if it's just hosting a small group at your house and providing snacks, that's huge. Do you know how much freedom people experience in a small group Bible study? So if you just invite people over, pick a good book. You should try my book, 100 Questions Every Christian Should Ask Themselves. But just even if you just host a Bible study, you're setting people free. Even if you just feel called to babysit for people while they're in a Bible study, you're setting people free. And it's huge. All right. Verse 11. But Moses asked God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the Israelites out of Egypt? He answered, I will certainly be with you, and this will be the sign to you that I have sent you. When you bring the people out of Egypt, you will all worship God at this mountain. And so, man, I love how he gives him that I bet through this whole time that Moses has to deal with Pharaoh, that he's thinking, we are going to get back to this mountain. We are going to get back to this mountain and worship God. And that's what I think about as I minister. I'm thinking all of us, me and the people that God helps, because he says, I'm going to be with you. All the people that God is helping and ministering to people through me, we're going to worship God in heaven and in the new universe, the new heaven, the new earth. Verse 13, then Moses asked God, if I go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, what is his name? What should I tell them? God replied to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, say this to the Israelites, Yahweh, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever. This is how I am to be remembered in every generation. And so, man, when God says, I am who I am, he's saying, I'm self-sufficient and I'm here with you. Isn't that beautiful? God is saying, and we can't say that, I am not self-sufficient. I need things, right? I need God. I need relationships with people, and I need like oxygen and water and food and all these things. And I need a temperature to be right. But God is who he is, and he is with you. He is self-sufficient, but only him. And a lot of people have made the mistake of thinking that is them. They think they're self-sufficient. This whole idea in this song, I think, who was it? Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. That's horrible. I was walking through a cemetery, and I don't know why I was there. I think I got lost. I had to turn around, and then I saw this grave where it said, on quotes, we did it our way. And my heart broke for those people because they stood before God and realized that they should not have done it their own way. They should have done it his way, because only he is self-sufficient. And then I love how it says that he is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that's his name forever. And so, man, don't forget the Old Testament. A lot of people want to leave the Old Testament behind and just focus on the New Testament. But God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And God cherishes that, right? God chose them to bring us Israel, to bring us the Messiah, to bring us the Bible. So God is forever the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Verse 16, go and assemble the elders of Israel and say to them, Yahweh, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has appeared to me and said, I have paid close attention to you and to what has been done to you in Egypt. Isn't that beautiful? God pays close attention to all of our pain, right? And again, he's trying to set people free. That's why Jesus came. And I have promised you that I will bring you up from the misery of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. And milk and honey just means reproduction, right? Because honey and bees are necessary to pollinate things. Milk means that there is offspring, so a place of reproduction and fruitfulness. They will listen to what you say. Then you, along with the elders of Israel, must go to the king of Egypt and say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Now please let us go on a 3-day trip into the wilderness, so that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. However, I know that the king of Egypt will not allow you to go unless he is forced by a strong hand. I will stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with all my miracles that I will perform in it. After that, he will let you go, and I will give this people such favor in the sight of the Egyptians that when you go, you will not go empty-handed. Each woman will ask her neighbor, and any woman staying in her house, for silver and gold, jewelry and clothing, and you will put them on your sons and daughters. So you will plunder the Egyptians. Man, when I read this just really spoke to me that, imagine God is saying, I'm going to, let's say you're working for someone else and God is saying, I'm going to help you start your own business, and your old boss is going to give you, a car or a truck or all the equipment you need to start that new business, right? That would be crazy. And so I think, what this really spoke to me is that God has such favor and just prosperity for me as far as ministry. I'm not saying a prosperity gospel. God promises to take care of our needs, but I'm talking about ministry wise. And so when I read this, I'm like, God is going to put me before people. I've got a page called Atheism versus Logic. And I made a video saying that I can prove God. And I sent it to one of the most famous atheists on YouTube, and he did a video on it. And that video that he did of me, where he played my whole video, it's approaching 40,000 views. And it's like, wow, that's awesome. And then I believe God for even more, that God is going to, I'm going to, just like he plundered the Israelite or the Egyptians, they got their stuff. I'm going to get subscribers from other people, and God is going to make a way for me to take influence from other people, and that I'm going to be able to be heard by more people. And so I'm just believing God for that. And so believe God for this, that God has a plan for you, and God's going to bless it. And there's nothing he won't do. And that God's going to make ways for you, miraculous ways, because it's miraculous that the slaves are asking the slave owners for gold and silver and clothing and jewelry, and they're getting it. And so you're going to get stuff, but you got to ask. I had to send that video to that famous atheist for him to happen. So think about that. You've got to act. You've got to ask in ministry and expect to receive it. Expect to receive. God is going to give you favor in the sight of other people, and they're going to give you stuff. They're going to give you, they're going to give you what you need to get the ministry done, right? So think about that. Thank you.